Welcome to Dead Skull Crypto. I'm Dead Skull. This channel is for entertainment, educational purposes only, and my opinion only. Any future guests will fall under the entertainment, education, and opinions only umbrella. This channel and any future guests are not licensed professionals or financial advisors and do not provide financial advice in any way. Myself included, as not being a financial advisor or a licensed professional to give you any type of advice financially or otherwise. This is for entertainment and education purposes only. Do not use any education, information, or opinions from this channel to make any financial decisions, as you are responsible for your own money. Do your own research and trust no one in the investing space, whether it's crypto or other asset classes. If you need assistance with your finances and investing, please find a licensed professional and/or financial advisor. If you like the content, smash the like and subscribe button on your way in or your way out. Preferably on your way in, but hey, sometimes you gotta smash it on the way out. I hope you enjoy the content. Welcome to Dead Skull Crypto. As you can see on the screen right here, I'm actually just pulling up my recent trades. I haven't traded on Femex or anywhere else as far as leverage trading, margin trading, anything like that since 2023. As you can see right here, it was Christmas Day 2023 was the last time I traded. As you can see here, and this account had $57 in it when I originally when I started trading again this year. And I specifically did that because I didn't really want to have to sift through all my trades in 2024 and have to use a CPA for a year that was a year I wasn't planning on taking profits, or at least very many at all. And so I figured if I'm going to get the most out of my money, I might as well wait until 2025. I'm not in any hurry. At least at that point I wasn't, and I'm still not now. But essentially, when we're looking at this, you can see that, I lost $1.73, $2.15, $6.89, $5.35, $1.12, and you can see here I have, I'm sorry, I take that back. I lost $5.35, $6.89, $2.15, and $1.73. So that totaled to be about $16.20 roughly. And today, I've actually turned that around on the 19th of February, or at least I should say these two were on the 13th, my last two trades. I had a 16% win and a 26% win, which is roughly just over $6. That's basically $4.98, and this is $1.12. So it's essentially $6.10 that I got back. And today I've actually hit some pretty nice trades. 46 or 49% trade, and then a 23% trade. I actually jacked up the leverage on the top trade up here, which is why you see this at 23% and this one's at 49%, and the dollar value is a little bit different. I did use 100% of my funding, which essentially was $57. It was right. It was just under 50. I think it was just under 50. It was right around 47, and then I've made $18 back. So right now, this account. Let me actually see. It's sitting at 68.54. You can't see that. Let me pull this down for you really quick. So you can see that should say 68.53 US dollars. I only trade with USDT and whatever pairs that I can find with that. The only reason I do that is because USDC is not available on Femex as of right now as far as trading. I don't have any open positions right now, but the idea is to start with a $57 account, which I did start at 57. I showed you my losses of about $16, roughly 15, 16 bucks, somewhere around in there. Down, I guess it was about $40, and now I've come all the way back to 68 and change. So the idea is not to get overly cautious, and it's not to get, and I don't want to get very wild with my, what I'm doing here. I am looking at SUI USDT, and these don't have perfect matches, but you can see they're pretty close. This is $3.20 and 84. This is $3.20 and 60. The FEMX is moving a little slower as far as price volatility than my trading view, which you can see, but they're close enough to where I'm not that worried about it right now. It is what it is. There are some different accounts, meaning, like, let me rephrase. If I used BTC and USDT as a trading pair, you would see the price movement. I could actually match them identically. And usually you'll see either FEMX or TradingView. One of them will be a little bit further ahead than the other, just by like a split second or two. No, it's not really an exploit that I've tried to take advantage of. Generally speaking, it's too quick, but it can give me a small generalized idea of, okay, in what I'm seeing on Market Cipher, which is this indicator down here at the bottom. That's Market Cipher B, and these numbers here are Market Cipher A, if I remember correctly. Or it might be Market Cipher DBSI. That's Market Cipher DBSI, not Market Cipher A. Market Cipher A shows the Bollinger Bands right here. You can see how they're pinching right here. Usually when you see a pinch like right here, that's when you see a move upward. We're going to actually probably go ahead and throw in a trade here. This is definitely premature, but I am seeing some movement upward on this VWAP. It's just barely above. And I am trading on the 1 minute and, well, 3 minute time frames, and that looks like we got a green dot. So I got to jump in this one right here. We're going to just go ahead and open up a monster long. This might break me, but it'll be fun. Long at $3.21. 3. We'll do that. Let's see if that gets me in there. Insufficient funds. What? Oh, it filled my order. Great. Beautiful. So we got in at $3.21. Yeah, 25, which is great. Um, we're in the green by 45 cents. Woo. All right, so we're going to let that cook for a minute. We're going to see if this continues upward. And the reason I did that is I saw the VWAP here. It went down, came back up. You can kind of see barely. Let me see if I can pull this up a little bit better. You can see this white dip right here, and then it comes up a little bit, comes back down. And then it looked like it was coming back up here. It looks like we've got a little bit of a come up there, and it looks like the green money flow is right on top of the VWAP, which is good. And then we've got a green dot down here, and then our momentum waves have this white momentum wave clipped inside, and it looks like it's going upward. We just have to watch that pretty carefully because we are doing using 3 minute time frames. And I am looking at the 1 minute pretty consistently. The 1 minute shows me that we're probably going to start cresting out. It's starting to round a little bit right here, and you can see the VWAP. It's kind of angled down, but we do have a green dot right here as well. And then both the RSI and the stochastics are pinched together super tight. They were going up at a pretty good angle of about 30 to 35% there. Now it looks like they might be rounding off a little bit. Yeah, you can see the momentum's rounding off a bit. So this is a point where we have to be a little bit careful. And you can see here where I've got the cursor. If we look over at the VRVP, which is this mess on the side here, I think that's a VRVP. Let me make sure. I think it is. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure I'm not getting my anything mixed up. This is a free indicator on TradingView in case you weren't aware. If you're looking at the market cipher indicator or the green buy signals and red sell signals, that's actually a different indicator. You can see here my candles are actually colored green, purple, and red. And then the green bi-signal and red bi-signal, those are actually from Lux Algo. But I actually rely a little heavier on Market Cipher than I do anything else. And the reason being is because it's more of a predictive indicator than it is a lagging indicator. And I see this consistently whenever I trade using both indicators. Market Cipher does have advantages sometimes where it actually gives me specifically what I'm looking for. It gives me a little bit earlier entry depending on the time frame. I won't say that it does that all the time. Just so we're both on the same page here, or you nerds that are in here or ever watch any of these videos. Sorry, let me adjust my mic really quick here. It's your mom's fault, by the way, in case you weren't aware. Okay. My volume seems to be a little bit different. Hopefully this isn't going to cause a problem. I'll double check it once I wrap up this stream. Hopefully it's not complete garbage. So you can see here on the 3-minute, I'm really like the DBSI, which is the dual band strength index. We've got a 17 here and a -5 on top. And then this candle here, this purple candle, you can see how it's kind of hard to tell. I'm going to try to get this as big as I can so you can see a little easier. Do you see how it looks like it has a white border or a lighter colored outline? That's actually green. I know it's hard to tell. But then if we go 2 candles back, you'll see this purple candle here. It doesn't have the lighter colored outline. If you see that it doesn't have the lighter colored outline, that purple candle just means that it has more of a downturn type of move to it. And the same with this candle here. And you can see all these purple candles as we come down this way. They all have a red outline. It's hard to see, but they have a red outline. And so the purple just means that it's more indecisive, but the red outline actually means that it has more of a downside move to it. And so when we see these lighter colored outlines, like we've seen in the last 3 candles, that's indicative that this is going to actually move upward. And you can actually see on Market Cipher, we had a green, a red dot, and now we have a green dot. You can see the money flow is moving up, and the VWAP is right behind it. The momentum is actually coming up as well. So we are looking good as far as rounding this up into this direction. This could be a trade that lasts for another 10 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer. We'll just have to see. I think the trade is actually technically underwater right now, just by a little bit. And I'm not too terribly concerned right now. We don't have a lot to chew through right here. You can see how that changed a little bit as I kind of moved, reshaped everything. So we're in a space right now that once we get to here, we should be able to get up into the 22 range, and then above 22, this part right here, we're going to have to chew through a little bit before we can really make it easier on ourselves to get to the 23 or $3.23 area. The reason I say that is there are more buyers in white here than there are sellers in gray. Which is good. That generally means price action to the upside. We'll actually just check on yeah, we're down 6 cents on this trade. You can see here, I've got a 32X long here in the corner. I was going to do a 50X. It didn't want to let me use my entire bankroll for that. So I just went with the 32X and pulled everything back. I don't recommend doing this. It's honestly, for me, this is just a challenge to see if I can use higher leverage on smaller time frames and achieve, $1,000 portfolio. And as I double up my money, I'm going to, because it's $50, right? I know, like, to some people that's, a meal a day for a week or, whatever, right? And for me, it's the same way. I'm pretty conservative when it comes to food, and I usually make big batches of stuff so that way I can freeze 30 or 60% of it, eat 30% of it, and then I have multiple frozen meals like spaghetti sauce and a roast, for example, or soup or whatever it is. And then I can just pull, I'll have 3 different types of meals that I can pull from, and, hopefully I didn't screw them up when I cooked them. So it just makes it a little easier to eat in bulk that way. But so my point in saying that was not to tell you about my eating habits and how I make huge meals for like the week. But if you do that every week and you keep making like a big batch of food, then you can obviously see our trade is probably going to be a little heavier underwater in just a second, which is okay. I'm not concerned yet. Our liquidation point shouldn't be too terribly bad. Let's find out. I think it should be around like $3.15. Yeah, $3.14 and 31. So 314. We want to probably get out of this probably around 317 would be my guess if it really starts to dip. With some of the exchanges that you trade with, you will actually see they pad their liquidation. I don't know that Femex does it, but I've heard from a lot more experienced traders that there are quite a few companies out there that will 100% take a little bit of a buffer and they'll liquidate you a little earlier. As you can see here now, we're $3.61 in the hole, which is fine. It's kind of to be expected. We're on the 3-minute chart right here. Let's see, our optimal sensitivity is at 10. I kind of figured we would struggle a little bit right here. Above this line right here, things got a little easier to kind of range. So it'll be a little bit of a challenge for us to get above $3.22.5. So once we get into $3.23, that's going to be a little easier to chew through, provided that we obviously have some good, some positive positivity as far as buying more so than selling, which it looks like our buyers here on the right hand side, the volume of orders and buying that we have over here is probably going to be a little better. We'll just have to see if we can weather this downturn very quickly. It is what it is. I mean, if we take a hit and we lose because we went in a little bit early, I mean, those things happen on smaller time frames. So if I go out to the 15-minute, it's not looking great, but what I can say is the VWAP right here is starting to angle up this way, and you can see that the momentum waves, have a little bit of a curvature, like they're going to arc up this way. So if we get this arc coming down like a ski slope, right, and it like into a ski jump, that's good. This VWAP has a straight line right here. If it starts to arc this way, then that means we're going to have a smaller downturn in the next few minutes. If this continues up and we see it cross this line right here, that's good. If it curves upward this way, that means it's going to be more deep. So if it curves up this way, that's a sign that we're going to see the momentum waves probably sharply turn up. That is a positive for what we need in this short-term trade. And one of the other things too, I like shorter time frames, and the reason being is, yeah, this is going to be about $10. $3. That's not bad. It's not terrible. But I like shorter time frames because it keeps me more engaged. One sec, my chair is stuck. Okay. All right. So I like the shorter time frames, generally speaking, because it keeps me engaged. It keeps me focused. I don't just throw out, really risky trades. I mean, I do take chances, of course. And right now, because this is a $60 portfolio, and I'm up, or $65, $68 portfolio, whatever it is, actively. We're down $5, which is to be expected. You can see it's starting to come back a little bit. The VWAP is coming up this way. But my point in saying that is, if I get liquidated because of a massive, drop in Bitcoin or whatever, it's only $57, $58 that I originally lost. And I look at it this way: is anything left over from the previous year for me, I actually look at it as more of oh, well, I've got $50 to trade with. Because I think of in terms of what I currently have in my account, how to pay bills for that month, and anything that's left over from like a previous year or dust in an account,
I kind of look at it like it's free money, even though technically, like if you're pinching pennies and you don't have 50 bucks to spare, then it's very much not that. Which I totally understand. Believe me, I had to, like when I was younger, when my parents taught me a lesson on how to manage my money. I had to pay for $5 in gas to get to work for the next week, and I paid for it in nickels, dimes, and quarters, and the cashier was not happy about that. Anyway, that was an excessively difficult lesson to learn. They would not give me money, and they said, if you run out of gas, you'll have to actually walk to work. And at that time, it would have taken me like 3 or 4 hours to walk to work, probably, which was not happening. So I pinched pennies. Anywho, so you can see here we're still underwater a little bit. Probably gonna a ding dang do it. Optimal sensitivity is at 10. Let's look at the 3 minute to see where we're at. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to dip a little bit harder now. We might see it go down to like 318, somewhere around in there potentially. Um, you can see here we're getting like one wave that dips, and then we're seeing like two and three waves above in the positive moment or in the positive momentum waves. And you can see here that we do have a little bit of money coming into the space. It's not really ramping up. We don't see these big arcs. Like we want to see a big green blob that goes like that. Kind of like this, but this isn't like the greatest form, right? You can see there's just many influxes in money flow. Like the green blobs just pop up here and there. We don't have a lot of purple, which if you can see right here, it's kind of hard to tell right there because of the angle I've got. But you can see the purple right here. It doesn't stay underwater very long in Sui right now, which is good because we're obviously doing a little bit more longing than shorting just because the trend has been pretty consistently upward. Now, if we can only get back into the 25-cent range, $3.25 range, I think that'll be a pretty big positive for what we're doing today. Um, Now, the good thing about these smaller trades is I can 100%. Um, Let me actually double check something here really quick. I can leave the trade out for longer, assuming that everything that I see is going to plan. And what I mean by that is you never want to cut a trade short unless you absolutely have to, or unless you want to take profits. And you can see right here we're $10 under because we just dipped down to $3.19 on this trade. And so what I want to do is go from the 3 minute to the 1 minute, and the 1 minute doesn't even look like it's done dipping yet. What we really need is for this momentum wave and the money flow to arc upwards. We don't want to see it dip below 318. Let me actually double check my. Oh, yeah, we're getting some rounding right there, too. The money flow is still not rounded to the upside yet. We're hoping to see that. You can see both RSI and the stochastics. These are actually, they were pinched pretty tight on this upward movement. They're both oversold. It's 16 and 9 out of 100. So, and as you can see here, whoops. As you can see here too, the VWAP, which is this white mount under, you can see it like pointing downwards with the movements. It is starting to move to the upside. We did see it drop below 318. Let's make sure that, yeah, 314 is our liquidation price. So that is where we lose our entire account. We really don't want to see that happen. So we're going to have to watch this one pretty closely. So we're about 5 cents away. In theory, we're about 3 to 4 cents away from closing the trade. And I will do a market close on that. I don't even care. I don't want to lose my entire account, but we're using such high leverage, we can't really play around with that. Um, it's good when prices are up and you're in a long, and it's good when prices are down and you're in a short and your trades aren't underwater. But when things get a little bit dicey, which we're getting in that area where I'm not super comfortable, but I'm not hating it because even if we lost 13 bucks from now, we'd still be at $55 or $54. Let me actually double check. yeah, right now it shows us at $53.90 if I were to cash out with losing $14 on this trade. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. I mean, again, this is if this were $1,000, you better believe I would not be using 30x, 40x leverage. And the reason is because the more money you use, the less leverage. Well, in my particular case, the more money I use, the lower the leverage. And the reason is because you have more at risk. And I'm not trying to risk $1,000. You know, if I can risk, $50 continuously, trade on that high leverage and have some fun with it. I mean, if I made $100 a day off of like 30x leverage or 20x leverage and was able to sit here, I'd be a happy camper. And, you know, okay, apparently we're having some video issues. It can't maintain smooth streaming. I don't know what's going on with that. I've had this happen in the past. Unfortunately, I guess sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You know what? Let me do this. I'm going to plug up my direct connection straight into my monitor, or straight into, where are you? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? I'm going to plug up my wired connection directly into my hard drive. There it is. All right, perfect. Let's see if that helps out any. Da-da-da-da. All right, hopefully this won't kill the stream, and I'm going to try to switch over really quick. This will also help with my trades. Da-da-da-da. All right, let me see if I can turn Wi-Fi off. Does that kill my stream? Doesn't look like it as of yet. Perfect. All right, so I turned Wi-Fi off in hopes that this would continue to rock and roll. So hopefully this doesn't cause any issues. It doesn't look like we're experiencing issues right now. We just got a green dot right here with $3.19. You can see here we've got a 17, kind of hard to tell. You can see we've got a 17 down below. We need this -1 to turn into like a -5. If we see that, that'll be a much better spot. The VWAP is just coming over the 0 line right here. Our stochastic and our RSIs, even though they're not pinched super tight together, they are moving upwards very close together, which is good. So hopefully we'll see this. This is on the 1 minute chart. Let's see what the 3 minute says. Yeah, 3 minute hasn't come around yet, but we should start to see this round off here. You can see the VWAP is starting to angle up this way a little bit. Yeah, you can see it's coming up this way. It does look like it might have a little bit of an arc to curve to the downside. We'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. And that's an optimal sensitivity of 10 still. So let's see if this is still set on 10. All right, perfect. So we're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some coffee. We're gonna talk dirty about our ex-girlfriends. That's a lie. That's a lie. Don't kiss and tell or talk dirty about them unless it's to their face, and then that's only if they like it. Otherwise, be a saint. All right. If anybody does hop into chat, throw up some questions if you got a minute. I'll absolutely get to it if I can. And what I mean by that is I'm not really paying attention to the chat since I'm just monitoring my trades for the most part. But I will definitely answer any questions if you have any. Let's see. All right, let me do this. All right, we don't want to go there. Sorry, I'm pulling up some my X account really quick. I want to make sure I get this. We're probably going to be streaming for a few hours today, live trading. That is not what I was looking for. I've got like multiple different accounts right now. Let's see if we can solve this very quickly. There we go. All right. Okay. One red hot second. God, this computer always gets hot when I trade. Or when I actually go live, I should say. Okay. Well, that didn't work out well. Well, that's sassy, but at least we posted it. I don't know if anybody's going to come out and watch it, but that's fine. All right. Enough about me, more about you. That's also a joke. All right, folks. Back to regular scheduled programming. Oh, ding dang do. I am not loving that 3 minute chart right there. It looks like it's about to round it down again, quite possibly. The 1 minute looks like it's coming back up. The 3 minutes a little sketch. Yeah, it looks like the 10 minutes, 10 minute, 15 minute, 20 minute, they're all looking pretty negative. We might get busted on this one if we're not careful. All right, let's see what the damage is. Yeah, $15. So basically, we're looking about breaking even on this trade. I obviously missed the higher time frames, but we'll sort it out. Things can change in an instant. Stop on a dime. Rock and roll with Optimus Prime. Again, I am trading on the 3 minute time frame, and the reasoning is because it's a time frame. If things do start going up significantly, I will be able to let this trade go longer, and I'll be able to catch it a little easier and a little faster. And I won't leave the trade overnight. I won't be using stop losses or anything like that. Um, with this high leverage, I don't feel comfortable even doing that specifically. I probably should use a trailing stop loss on it, but in the event that I start seeing things turn around at a moment's notice, I don't want a small wick down to really take me out. But that's just you really just have to be cautious and know what you're capable of and don't screw it up. That's like the number one. Don't screw it up. This is really interesting the way that BTC has been acting recently. Let's see where it's at. 96,000 even. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, Sol's at 170. Sol's taken a huge hit in the last month. I mean, it's kind of to be expected. I mean, everything's pretty much down from where it was. Tron's looking amazing. That's sitting above all-time highs, if I'm not mistaken. I think that Tron's all-time highs were at 16 cents last cycle, maybe. Yeah, 16.6 cents. That one stuck in my mind. I don't know why. I wish I believed more in Tron and had gotten behind. I mean, that's a 16x. I mean, or a 20. That's a 20x right there from March of 2020. Now, of course, most people aren't going to really buy and hold that long, but November of 2022, 6 cents all the way up to 24. That's a solid, 4x. I mean, minimum of 3x if you got in that low. I mean, there you could get it for 5.5 cents. So, and that's right in, yeah, November through the beginning of November, the beginning of November, all the way through the beginning of January is really where we had our market bottom, meaning in November, first week in November of 2022 through January 1 of 2023 was really the bottom range, as opposed to the previous cycle. We actually saw a 4-month range. I believe it was December through April of 2018. No, yeah, 2018, I think, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check on that. For some reason, I'm thinking that's accurate. Or maybe it was 2021. I think that's where I'm getting screwed up. Or 2022, I should say. Whoops. Because November 2022, Bitcoin was at 20,000. And we didn't see price move up till first week in January 2023. Well, that's 17 grand. That makes no sense. Oh, I was too far over. Yeah, around 15 to 16,000. 15 to 17,000 was our 2-month low for 2022. And then here you can see December 2018, Bitcoin was at 3,400. And then through April, the first week in April, it was like 4,800. I mean, you could take it all the way to May and say 8,000, but I'd rather say that like 3,000 to 4,000. You're looking at December through the beginning of April, so that's about 5 months. So our bottoms are getting shorter. Hopefully you like short bottoms. And our trade is looking like straight booty crack, and we are actively down $20 in this trade. And let's hope that Sui does not crush our souls, which it's looking like that might happen. Oh, yeah, we've got some manipulation happening right here and right here. And our liquidation's at $3.14, I think. Yeah. So we're getting pretty close to... Whoops. Hang on. I got to get this back to where it needs to be. Come on, Sui. Come on, sweetheart. I am playing a very bad game of chicken right now, just so we're all clear. I could have actually taken a small profit on a trade that I had before this. Yeah, never mind on that thought. Yeah, so we're sitting at $49 right now. and it says 51 now. So we're starting to hopefully level out here. It looks like it on Market Cipher. You can see there. Right here, we're showing a little bit of a flat bottom. All right, let's check this out. Don't bark. All right, let me get back over. I'm sorry, I have to do something off screen so nobody sees who I am. I'm trying to keep that secret. Secret. Hey, buddy. Hey, 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 hey. You watch your little butt cheeks there, pal. Yeah, we hear you. We know you live here, pal. Okay, let's get this back in the right area. Hey, hey, hi. All right, so I need to get this back to Suey. Ooh, I think it's USDT. Sorry, the SUI perpetuals, as you can see here, 31864, 31871. They're close. They're not identical. So I'm going to watch these numbers to see how close they are and how much they're moving. So this is 1873, this is 1867, 1870, 1859. So they're pretty close in proximity. I normally would match these up identically if I could find that they would match up identically. We're so close just on the general price. If it's not off by a penny or more, then I don't care so much. Um, and that's pretty much just because Apple, what? Podcast maintenance? Okay, well, I don't have an Apple podcast, so who cares? But you can see that we're seeing movement here on TradingView a little bit earlier than we are on Femex. It's not going to be fast enough that I could take advantage of that just from like an arbitrage kind of standpoint, or what most people might look at as a similarity to arbitrage. Basically, arbitrage is if you have one asset on one exchange and the same asset on another, and they're different prices, and let's just say they're different prices by like 6 or 7 cents, you could, in theory, if your fees, if you did it the right way, you could pay low fees and buy on one exchange, sell on the other, and you'll have a 6 cent advantage. If you do it in large enough batches, then you'll be able to make money just off of the difference from one exchange to another, since they all hold their own bags essentially. So right now we're down about 20% on the trade. We're so far up today that, I mean, I'm not really that concerned unless, of course, we start seeing major signals that there's going to be a huge downturn. Right now, we're in a upward movement. You can see we've got the green dot that printed here on the 1 minute. This is already headed towards the zero line. The money flow is looking very turtle-ish. It's very round right here, so it's good. Hopefully we'll start to see more upward movement. You can see our RSI and stochastics are under 25, 30, which is good. That means there's more room for them to pinch together and move up together. We've got a 12 -5 here. I'd rather see that be a 14 -5. It's kind of hard to tell here. The beautiful thing is on the 1 minute, we do have the buy signal from Lux Algo. It is a 12 -5, which makes me okay, feeling a little better. We've got a 17 -1 here on the 3 minute, which is actually what we're trading right now. So we're still going to be underwater at this point, but the beautiful thing is you can see how it went up. Well, I should say you have the green dot here. We went up, came back down, got a green dot right here. You can't really see it that well, but then we went up again and we came back down, got the green dot. We went up, came back down for a smidge, and then we ran up, came back down a little, dipped, and then we went back up. So we are seeing some consistent patterns here in the 20 -3. If that -3 turns into a -5, that's going to be very, very bullish for me just on the very short term and on this potential trade. We'll probably get back to even as my guesstimation here or close to it. Right now we're sitting on, you can see here we've got some tops, or we've got some areas that are serving as resistance and support. I draw some lines in there, but since we're doing 3-minute charts, yeah, whatever. But this is just on today's movement, right? So just trading these ranges on a 3-minute time frame. The good news is it keeps it short and sweet, and I don't have to wait hours to babysit a trade, or if I need to take a nap at some point. I'm just trying to keep the time frame shorter, which to some degree doesn't give you as much leeway, I think, as larger time frames, because as all that data gets pushed through to the larger time frames, you have more time to react and really see where the market's going. In the shorter time frames, which the longer time frames will support the shorter time frames. And just from my limited experience, and I'm not the world's greatest trader, I am going to be one day though, or at least I'll be up there in the 3% that makes it a job. That's my goal. So I got to think positively, right? But the short term does affect the long term. But you also have to pay attention to the trend that we're dealing with too. So right now we've been in a little bit of a downtrend on SUI, and you can see roughly right here. So that's down about 3%, which, if we had entered the trade at 325, we'd be down 60% on a 30x trade. The good news is we're only down about what, 20%, 30%. so we're only down about $20. We made money, we lost money, and right now we're sitting at $50 even. So if things start to look really bad, and we have to close the trade in fear of liquidation, which I'd really like to see this start to come up. I'm going to be a little annoyed if we have to sit here in this, $3.18 range for a while. I really thought this was going to be a short, 5-10 minute trade, and it's looking like we're going to have to fight just to get back to even, because of where we're at right here. We have this big hump right here to get over. I don't know if you can see it that well. Let me circle it. This area right here with a lot of selling, and you can see the selling and the buying is roughly around the same amount, which is why you see these dark grays. You're seeing a lot more selling there. And so that's part of the problem that we're seeing in this particular trade, is you have a lot more people putting out a lot more sell pressure, which is annoying. I'll just go ahead and come out and say it, as if that was tough. I really don't want to have to sit here and talk the entire time. Hey, no, don't you bark. That's the people outside playing in the snow. We got a little bit of snow today. I won't say if we're in the northeast of Belgium or the northeast of the UK or Francois, but that's not even French. Just don't listen to that. That's a joke. You should also calm down. You're too stressed out today. But I will say, if we can get this account to $1,000, that would be fabulous, and that would be the ultimate goal. I really want to turn this into a 4-figure account, If we get there, great. If we don't, that's okay too. You can't beat yourself up over it. At the end of the day, what I will do is once I get to a point, I will pull out my initial investment, or at least what I will say is I won't use 100% of what I'm working with, because that essentially is just, I'm only doing that, meaning using 80, 90, 100% of what I have in my account and then putting on a high leverage because it's a small amount of money. And if I can double and triple that money up within, a day or 3 days or whatever it might be, then, at that point, I can use just 1/3 of my original or 2/3 of my original account. And that'll basically be playing with house money. And that's ideally where you want to get with it, especially if you're going to use high leverage. See, when you get scared and too scared, we were underwater $20 on the trade, and now we're only under $9, which will fluctuate. We were all the way up to 30%. Now it's 16.5% or 16.8, whatever. Numbers aren't going to be exact and perfect when I read them off. I'm going to round just a little bit to make things a little easier. But it is what it is, I mean, fuck, this is trading. This is trading. One of the big mistakes people make, including myself, because by all means, I am not the world's greatest trader, and I don't claim to be, and I never will. But if I can make it into that top 3% that turns it into a job, and I can hit 70 to 80% of my trades, that's really the goal, more than anything else. I mean, that's why I started this $1,000 challenge, because I figured, why not start a challenge that most people could afford? If you can take $50 and even just break even for a year, that's, and you're just trading, in your spare time, and you just learn and you get repetitions. I think that's one of the best ways. And for me to say, like, using money for me is really ultimately, that's easier for me because I think about it. I think about the move quite a bit more than I do when I'm doing a prop account. You can see I've got Breakout Terminal up there, which it's a great opportunity. It cost me $55. If I pass the test, then I get to work with somebody's, 5,000. They give me an account with 5,000 in real money that I can actually use myself, which is great because ultimately at the end of the day, that $5,000 can make me 90% profits. Meaning if I were to put in a trade and I were to make $1,000, I get to keep 900. They get to keep $100. So that's the beautiful part about it, is one trade can set you off and you can already make up your money. Now, I will say, when we talk about that, if you lose 5% before you actually gain 10%, then they technically get to keep your $55, and that's it. Whoops, that was a little bit louder than I wanted. So breakout prop is a really great idea, meaning, if I, now here's the difference between breakout prop and using a platform like Femex. The major difference is I get to control the leverage on Femex. It's also real money to where I keep 100% of the profits, but I suffer 100% of the losses. So that's the major difference. But breakout prop seems to be pretty cool. I've enjoyed it so far. You can see here, I don't think there's any personal information up there. No, okay, perfect. You can see here my trade is $2 underwater right there. My equity is, I've lost $50 in the account, so I've lost like 1% roughly. 10% would be 500, so yeah, this would be about 1% roughly. It is what it is. I actually took a trade on Trump, and unfortunately, it cost me, like, I can't remember how much, but I took a couple hits on the Trump coin. I longed it, and then it went down hard, and I shorted it, and then it went up. I mean, I shorted it at like $14.65 or something like that, and then it shot all the way up to like, I think it was like $22. I ended up cutting the trade because Bitcoin was in the mid to high, or it was in the higher 90s, and I thought that we might see it pump harder. I didn't want to take that opportunity or that chance at that point, so I ended up cutting it off. Let me see if we can increase this a little bit here. Maybe the volume's a little better now. I don't really want this to go to redline and to have some like terrible volume, but let me move it up just a little bit more. Okay, perfect. I think we're good there. Hopefully that doesn't blow your ears out. Apologies if it was a little quieter earlier. I know some laptops don't have as good a sound as others. I can definitely attest to my personal. I've got a laptop that I bought. It's just like a burner cheap laptop that I surf on, I click links on, and I don't do anything financially with it. That one has one speaker that works, and I'm pretty sure it's like geared towards a mono rather than a stereo when it comes to sound and stuff like that. So it depends on the computer that you have, honestly. Okay, so we might see some movement upward here. The momentum here looks like we're starting to see it go up, which is good. So if this were to continue up like this, we might be in this trade till about 2, 3 o'clock, potentially. Yeah, that would be 1400. That'd be 2 o'clock. So that could be a 30-minute trade. If it goes higher than that, I mean, we could be, 1430, somewhere around in there. We could see this last until about 2:30 potentially. But I have a feeling we're going to see this guy go up and then probably come back down a little bit. You can see the intervals of down, 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 up, down. I mean, they're pretty consistent. I mean, with the exception of this up one here, they're pretty consistent. Let's see, it's 9:45, and then that's 10:30 to 10:50. I mean, you're talking anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes, you're going to get a movement to the upside or to the downside. So we are seeing some pretty consistent patterns right now to some degree. I don't want to make it seem like these are identical patterns to where it's just going to be an easy play. I don't necessarily know that that's where I'm headed with it right now, but it is what it is, Yep. This computer's such a turd. Yep. We're heading towards the crapper. A ding dang do. Woo. So yeah, so you can see this right here is starting to curve a little bit, the inside momentum wave. And you can see right here too, the VWAP on this. It's starting to sharply come down. Hopefully we'll see it swing out this way. If we can get this VWAP to do one of these, that'll be beautiful. And if this were to come like this and then to come up pretty close to around where the VWAP is or around the same time, you can see here the VWAP goes down and then this is like the bottom of the momentum wave. So there is some similar correlation where you see the VWAP's totally underwater, peaks out here, and then the momentum peaks out there. And you're talking about a difference of, that's 1233 versus 1215. So that's like a 15-minute difference. And if you look at this right here, that's 1140. And then roughly that's 12 o'clock. So that's about 20-minute difference between where the VWAP is versus the peak of the momentum wave. So if we're looking at here, that's at basically 1057. And that right there is 1130. Yeah, that's 1127 to 1057. That's 30 minutes. So we are seeing about a 30-minute difference. This one's a little shorter here. It's about 10 to 15 minutes. You do get a double VWAP peak here. So that's 1021 to 1042. Yeah, so you got to be careful. Like this is a double VWAP top right there. So you got to be careful about being too precise with your intervals. But even if we hang out down here at 318, I'm not terribly worried yet. Although the money flow is just not looking chipper. We're about 7 cents down from where I really want to be. If we head back up to 325, I think we'll be in a good spot. let's see, our break even is $3.21. So if we're at 318 right now, that's basically 3 cents down. If we were 3 cents up, then that would put us like another $17 up. So hopefully we'll start to see this volatility move to the upside. I might have to start drinking beer to. And I'm mostly kidding. Don't ever get intoxicated to the point where you can't think straight or where you're going to do stupid moves. But I'll tell you, having a nice cup of coffee or a nice cold beer in the early afternoon is kind of fun. I mean, why not enjoy yourself while you're making money, I suppose. But you got to take care of your health. So might have to start doing some cooking shows. I just made a batch of rice like you wouldn't believe yesterday. Let me tell you. That brown grain rice. And just for you health nuts out there, the long grain brown rice actually is going to be less clumpy because it doesn't have as much gluta something or other, Glutamix or whatever it is. I don't know. It's the sticky part of the rice. So it's a little healthier for you to have the long grain versus the medium grain. However, no real flavor difference or texture difference from the long grain to the medium grain. I actually did buy like a 15-pound bag of the medium grain brown rice recently because I didn't see the long grain sold for that cheap on the dollar. I mean, I basically got it for like $1.10 or $1.15 per pound, which, you know, if I went out and bought like a 3-pound bag, it would have cost me $10. So it was a nice little price break there. Which I've started eating a lot more brown rice because of it's a grain and it's super healthy for you. Add some veggies in there, you know, carrots, peas, whatever makes you happy. And, you know, I actually throw some diced up jalapenos in there to give it some heat so that that's a natural flavoring or natural heat to it. I usually don't flavor my rice in case I'm going to use a little bit of soy sauce, which I actually threw my soy sauce out. Believe it or not, I know this is not a cooking show. I'm just buying time for this wicked, ridiculous trade that's just frozen in time right now. But yeah, I actually dumped out my soy sauce. I had it for probably 6 months or a year. Never looked at the label on it. Apparently, 1 tablespoon was 50% of the sodium that you intake in a day. And I said to myself, I think I used 2 tablespoons roughly for a normal bowl of rice. And I was just like, this just isn't healthy. So I dumped it all down the drain. You know, I'm sure the expiration date was coming up here in the next 6 months anyway, so whatever. But I decided to just start adding like natural ingredients for any type of, to change up the rice a little bit. But yeah, by the way, if you're using a rice cooker, I never use salt on my rice in case I do have something like chicken teriyaki that I've made, because that could be a little bit more salty than what you wouldn't want to. You can't really take the salt out of your food, right? So you want to add minimum and then add it into it. So that's the reason I do that. But yeah, so with rice, I'll actually, like in a rice cooker, I don't use pots to cook rice in. Just the rice cooker because it's easier, faster, set it and forget it. I don't have to watch it so much. I can just set a timer and I know it like a specific time frame, like 35, 40 minutes. I just have to put it on warm and then we're good to go. But they've got that little steamer thing on the top and I'll throw in like carrots and peas and like frozen peas and frozen corn. And of course my onions, most of the time I leave the onions out and I'll just heat the onions. I'll actually mix in diced onions into a bowl of rice before I heat it up. And the reason I do that is because if I don't want onions in my rice, at least I'm still getting like the peas, carrots, corn, you know, in the rice, and I don't have something that might be a little bit more pungent. But if you put a bowl of rice in the microwave and you cook it for like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, it steams the actual onion. And super, super easy, fun idea. I mean, you know, you could in theory put your diced onions in the actual rice cooker with all the other vegetables, but I just figured if I'm heating up rice 90% of the time rather than eating it fresh, because I cook like a huge pot of it at once, it's probably like, I don't know, 10 to 14 cups of rice, like actual physical cups of rice. I mean, it lasts me like 4 or 5, 6 days if I'm eating rice like twice a day with a meal. And it's super low calorie. It's got a lot of positives to it. So I'll just make like 2 eggs, whether it's an omelet or whether I actually do sunny side up, for example, because I like the yolks. I usually like to mix the yolk in with the rice and then not use anything else with it, except for maybe some cracked pepper on it. But yeah, I don't know why. Like, I've had multiple girlfriends in previous years where I learned to cook specific dishes from their parents and from them. And yes, they were Asian, just in case you were wondering. But I used to eat a ton of rice dishes, and we always used to like make easy, quick, food. And of course, when we have time, we would obviously make more in-depth dishes that took a little while longer. But learning how to like just the simplicity, and for the health reasons, it becomes less of like I want that amazing taste of like that burger from down the street or the tacos from down the street. By the way, I love tacos too. I make a great carne asada taco. And I even do like Cajun tacos. I'll do like breakfast taco. Believe me, like love corn tortillas, make my own corn tortillas. Sorry, I'm going off on a food ramp while everything's just kind of stagnant. And we're still 15 bucks down in the trade, and that's okay. We're starting to see what looks like maybe a level off here. You can kind of see, and let's just hope this does level off at where we're at now. The problem is we're right here in this peak. And to get over this hump, we really have to chew through a lot of the sell. So if we can get above that and we can get to $3.20, $3.1950, we'll be cruising probably right into $3.20. I have a feeling we'll snap back up here pretty quick. You could see the green dot it disappeared and came back right as I was talking about it. If you were able to catch that. Sometimes they'll disappear and come back. Sometimes they'll disappear and turn red, and we'll see everything go down further. But we're just going to ride this one out, and yeah. All right, let's see if we can pull up. I just want to see. Does it show times on this? Oh, it does show 19, almost 2,000 USDT as far as the size of the trade. And I'm only using $61 in USDT to actually get a $1,900 USDT play. So essentially, because I've longed 30 times my money, 32 times the 61 is roughly like 3 times 6 is 18. So you can see that that's, 30 times 60 would be 1,800. So 32 times 61 is closer to the $1,918. So that's how you get that, right? If this was $10 on my margin, meaning if I only used $10 of my money and I used a 32X, that would be $320, right? So that's just essentially how you kind of do the math there. We are down to 11 bucks here, which is much better than where we were doing before. Let me see if it shows a time when we actually entered the trade. I don't think that it does. It would be kind of cool, though, just to show how long you're in the trade. All right, well, whatever. Who cares? We're probably going to be ranging here for a while. I might even cut this off here, cut this stream off here, and then probably check out some streams that are some of the people I enjoy watching. Yeah, we've been going for about an hour, which is cool. I would go further, but what I might do is pick this trade up, and if I'm streaming somebody else's stream or checking out somebody else's content, what I'll do is probably just start back this live stream on this particular trade, unless, of course, something like really starts to hit hard. Meaning, if I got to take, if I got to take the loss because it's looking like I could liquidate my account, then I'll have to get out of it, and I'll show you in my ROI, my closed positions down here. I mean, you can obviously see my return on investment is 23%, 49%, 26%, and that's just the last 3 trades. The last 4 trades, I've been positive by, I mean, that's 115%. And of course, if you look down here, you can see I lost 25% in one trade. So don't do that. And yeah, you can see before, when I first started back here at the beginning of February 2025, which was the 7th of February, this right here was the final straw in 2023. I was like, yep, I'm done packing it in. I think I fell asleep on that trade, to be brutally honest with you, and woke up to either getting liquidated or closed the trade out, if I remember correctly. But anyway, the point of what I'm saying is I started off the year just getting used to it, getting back into the flow of things, and then obviously you can see here things started to pick up a little bit more so with the 16%, the 26%, and then today 75% in gains. You make $18 and everything seems amazing. It's looking like we might see a tick to the upside here. You can see that the VWAP is just going up and down, bouncing up and down. We might see that actually. I mean, it kind of just looks like it's coiling for, if this pinches over here, we might see a move to the upside, assuming that we can get above, $3.19. If we can get above $3.19, we'll have $3.19.25. We'll have a good shot at probably ripping into $3.20. I mean, it's still going to be underwater as far as the trade, but we'll keep a close eye on it. Break even is $3.21.5. So that's, we're about 2.5 cents off basically right now. Money flow looks like it's turning up. We've got the green dot. We've got a 12 -5. That's looking pretty positive for the short-term upside potentially. Let's not get our hopes up here yet, but we'll figure it all out. We got to keep a close eye on this for the rest of the day, or at least until I get tired of looking at it. And if I got to play some video games and glance down at my trade that's just barely treading water, then we'll just do that, I guess. But yeah, I got to say, just if you try out what I'm doing, excuse me, if you try out what I'm doing, smaller time frames, let's be careful. Don't fall asleep on it. I used to trade a little bit more in like the 2-hour-long trade time frames, or time frames in general, and I fell asleep once and lost $500. Excuse me. Woo. Good gracious, excuse me. But you really, like, when you're trading anything above 5x leverage, you should really not be tired. I mean, you have to be 100% coherent. It's bad business to think that you're going to wake up and your trade is going to be fine. I mean, right now, it's a little different because the market's been, I mean, there just hasn't been very much movement. Bitcoin has just been kind of asleep at the wheel. I'm surprised to really see this at this point in the market, but it is consolidation. We do anticipate we're going to see this market move upwards. Right now, it's looking like a big donkey show, probably out of northern Mexico. That's a joke. But unless, of course, you know what a donkey show is, then you'll probably have a solid laugh. We are seeing a sharp turn to the downside right here. I am not happy to see a 13 -5. This is spiking downwards like, I mean, this is just like this is a naughty little move. We need this to rebound to the upside here Both the VWAP is down to the downside. VWAP, the white little daggers you see here that bounce up and down, that's more in the short term. The momentum really gives you a little bit more in the long term. We're at $3.17 and 50. Not exactly where we want to be right now. That's on the 1 minute. We'll go back. Yeah, the 3 minute is looking like a red hot dumpster fire in our pants. We do not want to see this go below $3.16. That is just a nasty downturn. Oh yeah, it's getting even worse. I mean, really, if we have any support, we're looking at 316 and a half. I mean, you can see here we've got good support there. It's just not it's not cooperating today. And Bitcoin is down a little bit. It was at 96,000. Yeah, we're at 95.9. So that's pretty normal. You'd expect to see a dump in the market. I just really don't like to see a 20 here. Nobody likes to see that. I mean, if I go up to my account, it's probably going to say $45, which we were at 40 before today, before the 13th when I had the last couple good trades, and before today, before we hit a couple trades worth $20. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, and I chose the wrong point to jump in, and we've just been on this downward trend in the last couple hours, really. So, or at least, yeah, it's been about 2 hours since the top there. I wish I'd have shorted that. That would have been an amazing short. But I am not using my green and red indicators. I thought about doing that as an example on the 3 minute charts, which if I did that, I mean, can you imagine going from 318 all the way up to, 320, 24, 325, and then catching one here, even if it was the top of the range, 323 to 324. I mean, even a penny at like high leverage, if the Lux Algo has some pretty decent like green and red indicators. You just got to be careful where, like, if you look at it from the bottom of the candle here versus the top of the candle, it becomes a completely different perspective, and a lot of them break even. So that's where you got to look at like the lower time frames to make sure that whenever you're looking at these green and red indicators, they work for the most part, but it depends on where you catch them, because if you're on the 1 minute chart, and this is not accurate because I'm not changing the optimal sensitivity, but it's pretty close. You just have to stay on your game. You really have to watch it very, very closely. And I'm not wanting to bounce back and forth, every single 30 seconds to a minute and continuously type in my optimal sensitivity. So this number right here is optimal sensitivity. It shows a 10 for the 3 minute chart. And so when I see that, I have to make sure that I'm on the same optimal sensitivity. So I click that, and it shows signal sensitivity at a 10. So that tells me that I'm matching the optimal sensitivity with the actual indicator itself. And you want to make sure that you do that the whole time, because if you don't, and you're switching between different time frames, like this should be different than a 10 probably. Well, no, just I kid, I joke. That's a 10. This one's an 11, and that's a 4 hour time frame, right? On the 4 hour time frame, looking a little more bullish. This actually might cut downwards here from what I'm seeing, which it's fine if it does. We don't want it to. On the 2 hour, that's just not, we don't want to look at that long term. That's straight garbage. Garbage. A ding dang do. On the 1 hour, we're looking a little bearish there. The 45 minute, we're looking a little bearish there. Yeah. The 30 minute, we're still looking bearish there. Could somebody give me a non-bearish chart to look at, please? Thank you. If you could just call somebody, I'd appreciate that. So the 30 minutes bearish, so the 20-minute is almost bearish. Looks like it could be turning around. We'll look at the 15. And it's looking like it's leveling off a little bit there, but we'll go to the 10-minute chart. Looking more bearish. All right, perfect. So this could be a liquidating movement or a liquidation trade. I really hope it isn't. Hopefully it turns around here shortly because we're now on the 5-minute and that's still looking bearish. I mean, right here are the bottom, the true bottoms for a local bottom for today. And we definitely do not want to go down that far. If we do, we get liquidated. I think it's 314, isn't it? Yeah, 314, and we're right now at 316.75. This is just not a good look for where we're at. Let's hope we don't get liquidated. All it takes is one freaking candle with some. I mean, we have zero movement right here. I mean, this is just all massive selling, and the volume is decreasing rapidly, which is not helping us. So we'll hang tight in this trade for a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to have to cut this off. I really don't want to have to do that because right now that's showing we've got to be at a $30. It shows $43.99 as far as our total current. You know, if we were to lose $23, then yeah, we are technically we're at like $67 right now if we broke even. But we've got to see that get up to $3.21. So we need a 4-cent boost here, pal. Get on it. Get on it. Get on it. All right, enough cheerleading. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream off here shortly in just the next little bit. I mean, long term, who knows where the market's going to go. I'm hoping that we see an alt season. I'm hoping that things turn around in the latter half of February, and this is just some ranging right before we see the massive run up. I really need to see. I mean, I really hope we see an alt season comparable to 2021 and 2017. Nobody really can tell you if that's going to happen. The dynamics are different. You know, pump fund kind of played a role in it. Then, of course, with the government, with no quantitative easing, they're not pumping money into the economy. The economy appears to be strong, so we'll kind of see how this shapes up. You know, we do have the M2 money supply, and world liquidity does seem to be going up and has not capped out yet, so we are in a good spot. You know, in theory, but we're just going to have to wait and see how this all shakes out. I mean, in the next, anywhere from now through the next 3 to 6 months, we're probably going to have a solid indication of if we're going to see an alt rally and if we're going to see a real parabolic run up. So let's keep our eyes peeled. Let's make sure we don't lose our butt cheeks, and let's have a lot of fun with it. So anywho, folks, it's been a blast. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go watch some live streams here in a little bit just to take my mind off of this insane trade that's probably going to go belly up if it doesn't turn around here shortly. And we'll catch you next time. Smash the like and subscribe button on your way out if you haven't already.